Hey guys, hello. We are live, and this is Dylan Garcia coming from the Never Been Defeated podcast. This is episode 2. So last night, I listened to episode 1 to make sure I could pick up right where I left off. And so I left off from episode 1 about me arriving to the North Shore of Oahu. I was 21 years old. Like I said, I had enough units from school where I could I took a quarter off. I had enough units to graduate. So I left and I went to the North Shore. I'll continue the story from so I arrived in, Honolulu, on Oahu. The female that I had met in the terminal, she said she had offered that her sister would drive me to the North Shore. So, um, when you're on your way to the North Shore, there's a lot of pineapple fields. And at first, I didn't realize that pineapples grew in the ground. I was like, where's the pineapple trees? And it was kind of a joke when we were on our way to the North Shore. I was staying at a place called Backpackers. Backpackers still exists. It's on the North Shore. You basically share a cabin with a bunch of travelers, and you just basically renting a bed and a bathroom. So I stayed there. I knew there was going to be guys that I competed with from California that were going to be there. And like I said last time, I showed up. I surfed pipe my first day. Wasn't a big day, but it was definitely an experience being in the water. And so now let's get it. So I got done surfing, but what I realized, see, my trip had already started on a bad note. I realized that I forgot my phone charger. So back then, every cell phone had a different kind of phone charger, and not all of them worked. So as people were coming back from their surf session, it was maybe like midday. I want to say maybe between 11 and 1 from 11 in the morning till about 1 in the afternoon. People were coming back from their surf sessions. There was a guy that I had recognized from one of the magazines. He was staying at Backpackers like I was, and I was just hitting everybody up looking for a damn phone charger. So my phone was gonna die. I was gonna have no way to charge it, no way to reach out back home. So the phone call I did make, I called my girlfriend at the time, who was back still in at our place, to ship my charger because I wasn't gonna be able to find it on the island, and it's kind of hard to get from the North Shore back down to Waikiki. So I met a couple guys. I ended up meeting this guy. I believe he was Puerto Rican. He was from Florida, and that's who I surf with. We come back from, this is all brand new. I'd never been to the North Shore. I think we might have hitchhiked to get to Pipeline, and we surfed. That's just how it was. Try to hitchhike a ride from where you're at on the North Shore to get to the other part of the North Shore. Like I said, it's only a 3 mile stretch, and so we get back. I was 21, so this was all new to me. So I show up to the store. To Foodland is the name of the store. I'm gonna find something so I can have for dinner. And be in mind, back then they weren't charging. They weren't charging for your luggage. So I brought a suitcase just full of food. I had like top ramen, a couple noodles, like peanuts, like just random stuff. I was young. You just eat random stuff at that time in your life. And so I go to Foodland. Foodland, like I walk in, they have like a deli. There's like corn dogs and potato wedges. There's spicy chicken, stuff Hawaiian style. And the aisle of beer is just right there. So that first night, I picked up a couple 40s. It was me. I made it making friends with all the boys that were there from California. I got a lot of guys from San Diego, Orange County. We were all there, and we were kind of just representing in this one cabin. Uh, Go to Foodland, go get my alcohol. We come back. I'm eating my dinner. I'm talking, meeting people, telling stories. Just kind of really just soaking it all in. I was only 21. This was, I traveled by myself, and so the females that I was with that brought me to the hostel from the airport. Um, so I'm telling a story and this and that. I'm having a good time. All of a sudden, it's like 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and those women just show up to the hostel looking for me. And so there's a knock on the cabin, and I'm in the middle. Like I get fully animated when I'm telling my stories. Uh, the two females show up. They knock on the door. They're like, "Hey, we're looking for Abel. Abel is my given name. You know, I go by Dylan, but Abel's my given name." They're like, "We're looking for Abel." So I'm with all the boys from California. These two beautiful females were all dressed up, all ready to go out, and they're like, everyone's looking at me like, "Who the fuck is Abel?" You know, like, who is this guy? How's he already have chicks like coming to pick him up? So they're like, "Get in the shower. We're gonna go ahead to Waikiki. We're gonna go out for the night." I was like, cool. I was already adjusting to the time. I think the time, because Hawaii is 3 hours, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 2 hours behind us in California. So I got dressed and like I headed out for the night, and we ended up going to downtown Waikiki. You know, that's where the nightclubs are at. The woman that I met at the airport, she was trying to reconnect with somebody that she knew from Hawaii back in the day, and she was hoping he was going to show up at the club. So we kind of hung low. I hung out with the sister, the one that picked me up. Um, I want to say Tiffany is her name. Tiffany. And Tiffany was the younger sister. So her and I were just hanging out. She was the one that picked us up from the airport. We're hanging out, having a good time. We're drinking in the parking lot, just vibing, having a good night. And homeboy didn't show up for her sister, and so she was all bummed. We ended up taking like a trip back to the North Shore. I got back to the hostel at like 3 in the morning, and fell asleep, woke up, and it was like my first time waking up in the morning in the North Shore. So you're hearing chickens, you know, you're hearing all these different things going on. And you know, there was wild chickens that just walked around. Like I'm telling you, it's like that part of the island is really low key. Not so much now, but it's like low key. It's like tropical, like rainforest type, you know. And so I wake up and it's just like, holy shit, dude, I'm in Hawaii. You know, like everyone's waking up, doing their thing. I'm an early riser. Like I said, we got back at 3 a.m. So I think I might have gotten up at 7. You know, back then you could sleep off 4 hours and go through a full day, no problem. And met with the boys and went and checked the surf. So a key about being on the North Shore, if you don't have a car, you definitely need a bike. And I didn't have a bike. I didn't take a trip down to Walmart to buy a bike. I didn't have that much money. I didn't anticipating buying a bike, so you know, I just walked. You know, and but homeboy let me use his bike. I checked the surf, come back. You know, it's like you go out there to go surfing, but the surf ain't perfect every day. You know, it's just like, I mean, there's swell some days there's not. And as I progressed in the story, I hung out with Christy a couple more times while when the beginning of my trip, and she was kind of tuned in. She was going to school. I think she might still was going to school, or she had already just finished school to become a teacher. She went to BYU because BYU has a campus in Oahu, and we hung out a couple times. You know, I was able to get access to a big party on the North Shore, and if you've never been to the North Shore and hung out with the locals and partied with them on their island at their spots, you know, you're definitely missing out. It was a big party. I want to say it was a Christmas party because I was out there. I headed out there December 10th, I remember, and it might have been a Christmas party, but it's a huge party. Um, we ended up getting. I brought all the boys that were staying with me at the hostel to Tiffany's house. That's where the party was. And somehow, like I hung around later. We were all hanging out, having a good time, partying, drinking, doing our thing. Um, but then we ended up getting lost. Ended up getting left out without a ride. People had left earlier. I wanted to stay because I wanted to hang out with Christy or Tiffany. Excuse me. And it was Tiffany and Christy. Those were the sisters' names. Tiffany was the one I hung out with, and Christy was the older one. See, it finally came back to me. See, I'm going back in time, trying to remember this stuff. So the part we ended up getting stranded. I'm walking home with the guy that I had met while I'm on the trip. He was staying where we were staying at. We're walking back, and it's like really dark. There's no street lights, and we're just walking on the path to get back to the hostel. And it's kind of a long walk. I'd say it's about a 2, 3 mile walk. And you're in Hawaii, so I'm wearing flip flops. I'm not wearing shoes. Just we're on a mission to get back home. And I remember it was really funny because we're walking and it's like I said, it's dark. We're on the path. There's trees and shrubbery. You can't really see where you're going. And he just freaks out and he's like, "Holy shit, dude! Somebody was behind me!" And it's like that's that wasn't the that one. He scared the shit out of me because I'm thinking I look behind and I'm like, "What?" And I mean, we're walking in Hawaii on this path. Like I said, it's really dark. Uh, you really dark. Excuse me. But he got totally freaked out. I'm now paranoid just walking back to the hostel, but we finally made it to the hostel. And life at that time, that trip, so I had booked my trip to stay out there for 50 days, 50 days. And my dad, that was one of the things that pissed my dad off that I was going that long because like, some people go on trips for like a week, maybe two, but you're staying out there more than a month. But I wanted to surf. I wanted to experience the North Shore. That was my first time being there. It was the first time like just going and doing something. And I put my time in because like when you go out there, you can get lazy. Like you don't have to surf every day. Like just because you're there, you don't have to surf. You can get caught up in the partying. And I forced myself to surf. Like the waves in Oahu on the North Shore are on a whole different level. Like it's not like, yeah, the waves get big in California, but the power of the ocean, because you got to remember, like these swells are coming over the open ocean, just smashing into this island. So you get it has a lot of energy and it's a whole different vibe. Like you're on your toes, like you're more it's not it's like at some points when it's so big it's not even about having fun anymore. It's like just about like, damn, can I just get out of this situation alive? So this goes into another story here. When I was on the North Shore that year, I got injured. And we were surfing one of my favorite places on the North Shore called Log Cabins. That morning, we're getting amped up, get ready to go bodyboarding. We're all getting all amped up. My boy comes back. He's like, "It's good, it's good." And I'm like, "How big is it?" And he's like, 6 foot. So I'm like, "Okay, no problem. I can handle 6 feet. I handle 6 feet in California, no problem." We get to the beach. We might have hitchhiked there. I might have taken the bike. I might have walked. I don't remember. Uh, but it was macking. And I was really, really out of my comfort zone when I saw the waves that big. And all the boys were out there like it was if it was no big deal. And I brought all my stuff, so it wasn't like I was just gonna pull up the beach with all my stuff and not paddle out. So I paddled out in the water. I made it out successfully to the lineup, but you could feel like the ocean, just like you could feel the ocean moving, like just like it wasn't content. Like you could feel it. It was like you could feel the energy of the ocean moving because there was so much power that day in the water. Like I mean, you could look out beyond log cabins and see fucking second, third reef bombs coming in way out there, and they're coming deep, and like when where we're surfing at, all this white water is coming and then it's reshaping like to where we're surfing at, like hitting another part of the reef, and like it was big. And I made it out, but at that point in my mind I'm like, how am I going to get back to shore now? Like I made it out, but the whole thing on my mind is like, am I going to get a small one? Like it didn't seem like it was going to be in my favor. And so my boy was out there with the camera videotaping, and it was like, it was like a situation you wanted to be in. Like I said, I went out there, I wanted to make a name for myself, I wanted to get some good shots, I wanted to be in the bodyboarding magazine. And I hear a homeboy yelling, "Go, go, go!" And I can see the bomb coming through, and I'm like, okay. But usually I go left, you know what I mean? Like right is kind of awkward for me. So I went left on this one when I should have went right. My other buddy surfing, the dude that I was walking with at the nighttime, he was surfing too. He ended up going right. I ended up going left. So here's a breakdown of how this wave happened. I dropped in with a lot of speed. And I could feel the tension from me locking in my arms and like digging in my elbow to set my rail. And it was a big, big wave. And I make it, I pull in, and then all of a sudden the thing just starts shacking, you know what I mean? Just boom, just throwing, and that power. I mean, it was definitely one of the biggest waves, at least definitely in my life, one of the most powerful waves that I've ever experienced. And I get shot out the barrel like a cannon, and I'm going down the line. But what I see down the line is like a wall. The whole wave just turned into a wall. So like what I learned and what I tripped out on is I tripped out on a lot of times I'd see the Australian bodyboarders like punch through it right as it was gonna close out, end up fine on the back side. But me, I wasn't that experienced. Like I said, man, I had only been bodyboarding 3-4 years, never been out of the country, never surfed anywhere crazy, but I did have experience, but I was just not experienced for this situation. So I'm trying the lips like starting to it's like standing, it's like vertical, and it's like kind of pitching, it's like kind of throwing forward. So if you imagine you're looking at the wave is ready just to dump towards the shoreline. And so I made the mistake of, okay, well, I'm going to use all this speed that I have since I got shot out of that cannon of a barrel to go over the top of it. And one of those professional bodyboarders would probably hit the lip and do something crazy. But for me, like I said, I was trying to get out of the situation alive. I probably should have went straight. I didn't. I'm trying to go over the top of the wave. It's pitching. Next thing I know, I'm free falling 10 feet in the air. I'm looking down, and log cabins is known to have certain parts of the break where reef sticks out of the water. And that's what I'm looking at, free falling 10 feet. Cover my head. I kind of do like a duck and roll position kind of thing, like I kind of crunch my whole body into a ball, and went straight into the reef, knee first, and I hit my knee, and I hit my knee going down. I could feel the warmness of the cut in my leg. I could feel the blood coming out of it. And okay, so boom, I hit my knee. I'm getting thrown around, like really roughed up in the water. And next thing I know, see, bodyboarders, they wear their leash to connect them to their bodyboard on their arm. So in the distance, I could see my arm stretched out underwater. By now, the waves kind of pass by, so it's kind of clear, but I'm stuck underwater because the board is kind of pinched inside a piece of reef, like a rock. So I'm like looking at it. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to set myself free. I can see in the distance the next wave coming while I'm underwater. And when you see waves from underwater, they're coming like big bulldozers. That's what it looks like. And I'm telling you, it was a big day. So I just was like, fuck it, I got to take it. It's going to hit me. I got blasted. It ended up blasting me free. The wave, I was still underwater, be it mine. I was underwater for at least a good 20, for at least for 2 waves to pass by. I resurface, and I'm getting ragdolled. I'm getting pushed into the beach. I grabbed on my board. I hung onto that bad boy as tough as I could and rode it back to the shore. And the funny part about it is, this lifeguard who's been watching the whole situation go down, the lifeguard watches the whole situation go down. He's like watching, like, so I get up to the beach. He's running towards me, and the first thing he says is, "What, bruh? Trying to commit suicide today, huh?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I just got blasted." And so he comes and he's checking my knee out because I hit the knee so hard, like bam, like right into that reef that I had. Like it was just blood was just coming out, and it took a big chunk out in that like soft part in the middle of your kneecap right there. It took out a big chunk of meat. So I had a really good sized cut. He told me you should probably go to the hospital to get stitches. And I'm like, well, dude, I don't even have insurance, man. How am I going to get to the hospital anyways? And he said, well, then your best bet, if you're going to keep surfing, just put duct tape over it so it doesn't get infected. Because that's the thing. You get cut. It's tropical air out there. The water's warm. The air's warm. It's humid all the time. It's easy for cuts to fester into an infection. So I make it out. All my boy, I was like, dude, my leg was in pain too. My leg didn't start hurting, so I made it back. I don't know if I walked all the way back from Pipeline back to where I was staying at, or if I ended up hitchhiking and getting a ride there, or if I rode with somebody's bike down there. I can't remember for the life of me. But get back. I'm hobbling now at this point, you know, bum leg. I'm like, shit, I was only maybe like 15, 20 days. Nah, it might have only been like 10 days into my trip. And that really, really, really humbled me about Mother Nature. It really made me respect the power of the ocean. There's a lot of times we feel like we're just indestructible, but sometimes there's things that need to bring you back down to human levels, and that's what it did. And since that incident, I had always had a fear of the ocean because I came so close to drowning. Like I was stuck, my board was stuck. I couldn't resurface. Like it was crazy. But I'm alive here to tell the story, and that's all that matters. So the lifeguard, I had a friend that was a lifeguard there. And so the lifeguard said, hey, you know my boy, da, 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 yeah, yeah. So he gave me a bunch of stuff to keep my wound clean. And made it back. By that time, I'm like, shit, I don't even know how long it's going to be until I can go surfing again because my knee swelled up really big. And I said, well, shit. We're going to drink and have a good time and try to just pass the time with this messed up knee. And so we partied, and my buddy was like clowning me, saying it was, oh, that's Mickey Mouse, brah, Mickey Mouse. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I've had worse, but my knee was swelled up. My whole kneecap was purple with that big gash in the middle. So at that point, I'm humbled by the ocean. I'm now out on the North Shore with a messed up leg, can't get in the water. What do I do? And there was a lot of ruckus that was going on at this hostel. There was a Brazilian guy that sold weed. He was the one that kind of ran the place. He like cleaned, he maintained the place where we stay at. You can get weed off of him in the morning when you wanted to go surfing. There was the Brazilian cabin. Then we had these guys from Peru. Then there was another set of guys. There was probably about 7 guys that were from Australia. Cool guys, mate. And then there was just a lone couple people from South America that can make it. Like, it's expensive in Hawaii, so I give so much props to those people that came from other places in the world to make it out there and work hard just to go do the same thing that I was doing on the North Shore, just trying to make a name. Everyone was out there to make a name for themselves. It's like you're out there in the big leagues. It's expected of you because the waves are big and powerful, and you're out there in the big leagues. I had this like such fond feeling of surfing, being in the water, and to be able to go to the North Shore. Like, I was the first one out of all my crew that I bodyboarded with back home to go to the North Shore. So now, my legs bugging. So it was kind of like the beginning of the downhill of this trip. Like it started getting worse and worse because. It was about 3 days later when I tried to paddle back out and go surfing. I went to off the wall. So like the way this is set up is like you got pipeline right here, you got off the wall right here. Like these breaks, it's one beach, but you just have different breaks. It's not like how you see it in the movies. It's a very different scene when you see it in person. And so, the downfall of the trip. So I remember I paddled out 3 days later. 3 days later, it was Christmas Eve that day, and I wanted to get some waves. I was kind of bummed at this point. I had never been away that long from my pad, family, girlfriend. Like I was kind of like starting to get the feels, and I think it really came with when I messed up my knee surfing, and so I'm on my way back from surfing. I caught a couple waves at off the wall. As I'm riding my friend's bike back to where I stayed at the hostel, I had this like wetsuit. It was like shorts and like the top and long sleeves. So I had that open. While I was riding, and it just so happened the sleeve of the wetsuit got caught in the rim of the bike. So when that happened, I went head over heels, and I'm cruising on the bike just trying to be cool. There was all these Hawaiian chicks. It was at Sharks Cove. They're all parked there where the basketball court was, this little part. And I'm cruising by on the bike just trying to be cool, just trying to be low-key. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. And boom, The wetsuit gets caught in the rim. I go flying head over heels, hit the asphalt, and little young Hawaiian chick says, "Hey, bro, don't know how to ride a bike, huh?" And I eventually made it back, but at that time my foot got scraped. I was a mess from injuries, and so at that point, Christmas was coming around. We had uh, New Year's Eve, and the New Year's Eve. So around that time, I ran into guys from my college, from the fraternity actually, who were from Hawaii, and I ran into them on the North Shore. So we had this whole plan. We were gonna party it up on New Year's Eve at Hawaii Kai. Hawaii Kai is on the east side. So my goal was to get all the way from the North Shore, take the bus all the way to Hawaii Kai. Big party out there, something going on. They wanted me to roll. So here it is, New Year's Eve. I'm already drinking. Homeboys call me on my phone. I had gotten my charger finally. So homeboys calling me on the phone. Hey, meet up with us. We're in Kauai. So I'm not familiar with the island still at this point. I've only been on the North Shore. So I hop on the bus. I'm already buzzed. And it's like, I'm not realizing how long of a trip this is going to be. Like, to get from the North Shore on the bus to Waikiki, you're talking about an hour and a half on the bus, maybe 2 hours just to get that far. But in my mind, I was already partying, having a good time. I'm going to go meet up with my buddies from college, so I'm trying to get on this bus. Within like 30 minutes into the bus ride, I already got to go to the bathroom. So I'm trying to convince the bus driver to let me off so I can go to the bathroom and handle my business, get back on the bus, because I'm on this mission. I got to get to Hawaii Kai. I get off the bus. I think the bus driver is going to wait for me. He said he would wait for me. I get off the bus. I'm handling my business. I see the bus driver driving away. And I'm stranded in the middle of just nowhere. There was just fields, pineapple fields. And it's like, okay. So I'm like, okay, what do I do at this point? I'm like, should I walk? I don't even know where I'm at right now. It's New Year's Eve. Kind of sobered up now after the reality sets in. Like, damn, I'm kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. And so luckily some guy shows up at the bus stop, and he's like, okay, there's a bus coming. I'm taking the bus to work. Hop on the bus. We'll make it there. So I'm like, boom, Hawaii Kai is still alive. Hawaii Kai is still alive. So I might be able to make it to this party. And so a bus eventually comes. By now it's like 8:30. I'm still about an hour and a half away from Waikiki. I'm on the bus, heading. I'm still, like I said, I was unfamiliar with this whole situation because I didn't know where I was going. I'm on the bus. Next thing I know, like, we're passing. So I'm thinking we're like somewhere by Honolulu, but it's big. It's a big area. It's not. I mean, yeah, it's an island, but it's a big area. We end up going by like Chinatown. And it was like random. I got off so then I started meeting people on the bus. People were on the bus. I'm talking to this one guy, and he's like, yeah, man, I'll help you get there. Just get off on this bus, change this bus. So I'm following this guy's lead so I can get. So now it's like, I think Hawaii Kai might not be in the picture because this is still far away. I'm just arriving into Honolulu. So I'm thinking like, man, I took the bus that long. I'm in Waikiki now. Well, close to Waikiki. I ended up getting off the bus in Chinatown and just walking. And it was New Year's Eve, a lot of people partying in the streets, and I'm just walking, trying to figure out, what am I doing here? And it was like, okay, I think I got $100. What can I do with this $100 to make the night like worthwhile? Because at this point, I wasn't going to be able to catch a bus. I probably could have caught a bus back to the North Shore, but I wasn't thinking that way. I just went on the way of the journey to Waikiki. So I'm walking, meeting some people, and then like reality sets in. Midnight's gonna come around, but I got nowhere to stay. I didn't even think about trying to go to another hostel. It didn't pass my mind at that. So that night, basically, I hung out. So New Year's Eve that night, I hung out in a Burger King that was open 24 hours until the sun came up. I did try sleeping in a bush on the beach, like on the beach. I tried sleeping. This homeless guy was like, "Nah, you can't stay here. You gotta go." Finally, the sun was coming up. I stayed awake. I had stayed awake already the whole 24 hours. Stayed up all night. Uh, find the first bus that I can get. I was asking people in the morning, "Where's the bus? Which bus do I need to get on to get back to the North Shore?" Got on the bus. On this long ass ride back to the North Shore. So little did I know, where I was staying at, they were having an explosive party. I probably shouldn't have left. So, and it was pretty good because my buddy who let me borrow his bike, I had let my other buddy borrow it. Well, it got stolen. So it was a good party if the bikes got stolen. I made it back. I was pissed at my friend. I was like, "Dude, you gotta get that was homeboy's bike. You got it stolen." So he was trying to figure out a plan because I'm pretty stern. People like, "Nah, man, that ain't my problem. You lost the bike. You got to figure out the situation." Make it back. New Year's Day, kind of just hung out. There was a TV, but you don't really watch too much TV when you're out there. Surfed a couple more times, and at that point, money was running low. I didn't know how I was going to make it the rest of the trip. Called, of all people, I called my grandma. "Hey, Grandma, you've been to Hawaii, right?" Telling her she had been to Hawaii with her ex-boyfriend, years before. And I'm like, I tell her, this is so terrible. I said, "I lost my money in Waikiki. I think somebody might have stole it." And she's like, "Oh no, mijo, yeah." So I was like, "Can you go to the bank and deposit some money for me in my bank account? I'll pay you back when I get back to California." So she deposits some money. Boom. But at this point, I already got hurt surfing. My knee was all messed up. Could barely walk. Money was low. I still had like another 15 days, I think. And I was like, at this point, I wasn't enjoying it. All my boys that I competed with that were from San Diego, Carlsbad, other guys, they had already went back. They had went back to California to go spend Christmas and the holidays with their family. I was still on the North Shore. At this point, a lot of my friends had left, and I was kind of just out there solo. So I made the best of it as much as I could. I ended up changing my ticket to come home 10 days early. The reason why I wanted to come home 10 days early was I would miss my home. Change my flight, on my flight back home. Excited to see my girl. She picks me up. She's like kind of tripping. Like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to come home early." And I was like, "Well, you know what? I wanted to come home. Like, this is my home too." Came home, and so here we go. Let me get you a little intro into the next episode. So her phone is blowing up. We get back to the apartment. We lived in Newport Beach. We get back to the apartment. The apartment was in the same exact condition that I left it. My bong was in the same spot. Everything was in the same spot. Even the loaf of bread that I had bought for her before I left was still in the same spot in the cabinet, all moldy. Something doesn't look right. "What's going on, Kathy?" Oh, there we go. I said her name. Your phone's blowing up. What's going on? Like, what's really going on? And so this number keeps calling. I pick it up. I'm like, "Hello, who is this? Why you keep calling?" It's another dude's voice. He's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, man, I don't know, man. You're calling my girl. Your girl? That's my girl. So this basically, while I was gone, trying to surf, getting hurt, trying to make a name for myself, homegirl back home wasn't holding it down back home. She was holding it down with somebody else. So that leads into the next episode where I get into what happened after I came back from Hawaii, because it's very important that I share this. I'm going to share details of how everything went down, because it really changed the trajectory of my life when I was in my senior year of college. So I will tap into that next time. I love you guys. Be cool. Remember, you may have been knocked down, but you've never been defeated. I'm Dylan Garcia, guys. Thank you. I'm out.